Oh, we are in for a treat, folks, on the Beyond the Pump podcast today, where we have Dr. Jose Antonio joining us, and he said he's going to take the intro away. So,
I'm going to do it right
Dr.
now,
Antonio,
gentlemen.
I love it. Let's hear
Hey,
it.
welcome to the Beyond the Pump podcast. I'm here with Andrew Gerritsen. He is the inimitable co-host with Brandon, the fellow Filipino, engineer in studio. I'm the guest, Jose Antonio, the current CEO of the International Society of Sports Nutrition and a full professor at Nova Southeastern University. I've been studying sports nutrition and ergogenic aids for 1 score and a decade. How long is that, Andrew?
1 score in a decade, carry the two. I think that's like 30 years, isn't it?
Damn, you are
Fuck
smart.
yeah. How
You
many
are smart.
stone is that? How many stone is that?
Yeah, I don't know how many stone. So,
Two and
hey, we're here to talk about sports nutrition, anything you want to talk about in terms of ergogenic aids, creatine, protein, the state of science. So I'm
Oof.
here. Ask away.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for carving out time. I know that, being the CEO and the founder of the ISSN, wonderful organization. You guys contribute so much to the industry, and we really appreciate that as consumers. Your position stands are great resources. So if anyone is listening and wants to go and learn some shit about anything really related to sports nutrition, those are, again, phenomenal resources, and their CISSN credential is also phenomenal. So if you are looking to go get educated from an evidence-based perspective, you guys have done a phenomenal job with that. So just leading off with that plug. But yeah, we have a handful of questions for you today. So I guess we'll kind of just rotate through it open format style. And since you mentioned the sports nutrition, Brandon, I think you have a couple questions for Dr. Antonio here.
Yeah, so my first question is what are some common misconceptions about supplements like creatine and protein when it comes to improving performance? I know there's always kind of a back and forth, especially with creatine, but we want to hear it from the expert here.
Yeah, let's talk about first protein because I was introduced to what protein might do back in, I'm going to test your history knowledge here. I was an undergrad and Ronald Reagan was president. So what decade is that, Andrew?
40s. You set yourself up. I think it was the 80s, right?
Very good, very good. I'm old, but I'm not old. So, anyway,
You
so Reagan was
OG.
president. It was the very first nutrition class I ever took as an undergrad. And the nutrition professor, clearly someone who did not exercise, and you know what I mean by that, Andrew, said this: eating a lot of protein is bad for your kidneys. And being the stupid undergrad, because let's face it, it's not like undergrads are brilliant. I was thinking, that seems really weird because my uncle, who's a bodybuilder, sure eats a lot of protein and he seems pretty dang healthy. So that was my introduction to protein is bad for your kidneys, probably one of the longest lasting myths about protein. So you fast forward to, I was in grad school in the 1980s and then 1990s. I still kept hearing this, that protein is bad for your kidneys, despite the fact that people who work out seem to eat a lot more than the silly RDA, which is 0.8 grams per kilo, which is enough for like your pet hamster. And you got a pet hamster in the back. I see it's on a wheel. So it's enough for your pet hamster. So let's fast forward again. So I'm going through this timeline sort of quick. So now I'm at Nova Southeastern University. It's like the 2000 teens. I noticed there's a bodybuilder in one of my classes, and all he does is eat. And he has, they carry that stupid jug of water. What the hell is that about? Why do they have to always carry water? One day I walk up to him and I say, you know what? You're always eating in my class. How much protein do you actually eat? Okay. So he sort of, and bodybuilders are great at this. They know exactly what they eat. So you can tell he's sort of thinking, and he goes, about 300 grams a day. I'm like, wow, that's kind of a lot. 300 grams. And I calculate what it is based on his weight. I'm like, well, you're getting almost 3 grams per kilo. And that sort of stuck in my head. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just do a study and look at what happens when you consume a lot of protein? In this case, it was actually 4.4 grams per kilo. And what did we find? We find that unless you change your training, it doesn't do anything. You don't get fatter. You don't put lean mass on, nothing. And in fact, we found no harmful effects. There were no adverse effects. We followed that up with, I think, 4 or 5 other studies looking at high protein diets. Again, we found no harmful effects on kidney function. But here's the kicker. Despite all of these studies, one of them lasting 2 years in male bodybuilders, no effects on kidney function. You go on X, formerly known as Twitter. I sort of sound like Prince. Prince formerly sound. I forget what his other name was, but X used to be Twitter. There's still people out there, physicians, not as many scientists, but a lot of physicians who are like, yeah, too much protein, bad for your kidneys. And I'm thinking, okay, how many studies have to be done to show that there's no harm in people who are otherwise healthy? And people say, what if you have CKD, chronic kidney disease? Well, actually, a paper just came out showing that even with CKD, limiting protein severely may not be the best thing and may cause a different set of issues. Because if you're not eating protein, I mean, you'll become sarcopenic, lose lean mass, et cetera, et cetera. So there are issues regarding that. So I think the protein and kidney issue is one of the biggest myths out there. Can you get fat eating too much protein? And this is where it gets tricky. My data shows that you could actually overeat on protein, and can you get fat? Theoretically, yes. Do I see people getting fat eating a lot of protein? I don't. And in fact, both anecdotal evidence and experimental evidence seems to agree in that if your goal is to get fat, sucking down whey protein ain't the way to do it. If you want to get fat, eat donuts, Cheerios. What else? What else is in your pantry, Andrew? Besides, donuts and Cheerios.
I'm Asian, so ramen.
Ramen, high glycemic,
Noodles.
crappy carbs that you like. Although I do love white rice, so people say that's bad for you.
Oh yeah, no, all day.
Yeah, all day, every day.
All day.
Sometimes they eat white rice breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is, some people find that weird. I find that quite normal.
You're just staying true to your heritage.
That's true. That's true. I love
rice and eggs.
Don't forget your roots.
Spam and eggs, steak and eggs.
Rice and eggs. Oh, dude, breakfast staple all day.
Yeah, rice and spam, steak and spam.
Hey, I had spam this morning. Yeah,
I had steak and spam.
Yeah, because it gives it like flavor.
Oh,
yeah. You're learning stuff, Andrew. So does it make you fat? No, it's because of the high thermic effect, et cetera, et cetera. It's not a good way to get fat. To get fat, eat in excess of carbs and fat. So those are probably the two biggest myths. One, it's bad for your kidneys. Two, if you eat too much, you'll get fat. Theoretically it's possible, but it's highly improbable. With creatine, probably one of the more common myths about it is that it causes cramps when you take it. Again, same thing. It might cause kidney issues. Again, no data for that. Now, a funny one, and this is funny because some of the top creatine researchers have no hair on their head. It makes you bald, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm not the guy to talk about that. However, the data's not there showing that you lose hair when you consume creatine. Otherwise, I'm going to quiz you guys, Brandon, Andrew. What is the food that has the highest concentration of creatine?
Immediately, steak jumps in my head, but I don't.
Chicken?
Something has a little bit more than steak.
Chicken. That's not chicken. It's not
Pork?
Chicken.
Is it a meat? Oh, fish.
Fish? Yes, fish has highest concentration. Okay, and then follow-up question. What country consumes 20% of the world's fish?
Japan.
Yes. Are there a lot of bald Japanese men walking around?
I don't know. You're looking at one. I'm also half Japanese.
You're not bald yet.
No.
There you go.
It would stand to reason that if creatine caused baldness, people would be like, hey, have you been to Japan lately? All those guys are bald. What's going on there? So that alone, it would mean that if you eat a lot of fish and even eat a lot of beef, like the carnivore people, you would think they'd all start getting bald, right? From consuming all that creatine, whether it's in fish or beef or whatever. So that's one of the big myths. And the other one is that, creatine and protein, probably creatine has more data than protein, and creatine probably has more data than any other supplement. Maybe caffeine is close, but it's the one where, and this where is tricky. They're like, well, should your kids get it? And how do you define kids? Well, anyone under 18. And the way I usually answer that is, well, do you give your kids, would you let them eat a lot of fish? Would you let them eat a lot of beef? And if the answer is yes, then you should let them have creatine. My daughters are already grown. I have twins. They're 24 years old. We gave them creatine when they were little so that they could play softball. They played on the travel softball team. I was the head coach. My wife was the general manager. And we gave them creatine. We mixed it with their yogurt. They didn't know what the hell we're doing. We're just fixing shit. Yeah. We're like, just do the creatine. It's good for you. You'll hit that ball farther. Come on.
Yep. Yep.
might get more, more powerful and better base running. So I always tell people there's no evidence to show that it's harmful to anyone under 18, and it may actually be helpful. There's actually data in infants showing that it's safe. So it stands to reason that if you're a boy who wants to wrestle in high school and wants to put on some lean mass in the off season, yeah, let them take creatine. But here's the thing, and this is sort of outside of protein and creatine. This is what bugs me about the nutrition category in general. There's a lot of people who are quite ideologic in how they view nutrition. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's take creatine or even whey protein. I hear this a lot, and I hope you guys don't say it. Then I'm going to like intellectually slap you right now. Okay. Foods first, supplements second, meaning don't take supplements until you clean up your diet. And I'm thinking, it sounds good. People feel good when they say it. They're like, oh, foods first, foods first. The simple question to ask, is there any data to show that? The answer is no. But, well, the people say, well, so you don't care about diet? I'm like, I didn't say I didn't care about diet. I said, is there data to show that you have to fix your diet before you take creatine or protein or whatever? And the answer is no. Okay, so what's the next question? Do you have to change your diet for creatine to work? No. So why do people always talk about this food first BS? Why don't they talk about instead consume what works, consume what helps you reach your goal, rather than creating this fake hierarchy of fix your diet, fix your diet. Are you going to fix a 15-year-old boy's diet? Right. Yeah. He likes eating pizza, freaking, what's that other crap? Chicken McNuggets. What's the other? I don't even know what junk they eat these days. Is there?
Brandon knows. Brandon knows every single hack around every food place. He knows what deals are Buffalo Wild Wings. Tell him, Brandon. Tell him about B-dubs.
They did have unlimited. I think it ended for the football season, but
unlimited wings
Mondays and Wednesdays. But now it's Applebee's 50-cent boneless wings.
Wait, how many wings can you eat?
I ate 22. 24.
Yeah, how many? Wait, this is a good question, actually. Yeah, Joey, how many wings can you eat?
Oh, if that's all
30.
I ate, probably between 12 and 20. If that's all I ate,
before you get
down
the meat
at the
sweats
beer.
and
Yeah,
that's fair.
But here's the problem. You guys could understand. When I eat wings, I have rice.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's the best. The fries, it's too salty. Brandon was saying he'd get swolled up.
I woke up the next morning, felt like
puffy.
What, did I drink? I didn't drink any alcohol, and I felt like I had because I was just so much sodium. I looked, it was like a little over 5 grams based off math. I was like, ooh.
Might as well just pour a salt shaker
down.
Just doing rails of salt with your creatine. You just little mix, some electrolyte supplement.
Lot.
But,
what were we talking about? Oh, I know what.
We're talking about creatine.
Yeah, creatine, protein, the food first BS paradigm.
Kids, babies, how they don't have to consent for research. I think that's what I took away from that.
Yeah, just give them creatine. They'll all be better. The one thing I will say about the sports nutrition category, and you guys are too young to know this, if you go before, well, Brandon, what year were you born?
1995.
Oh, this is crazy. Okay. I finished my PhD in 1993. So you weren't even a thought in your dad's head. So
for those of you that can't see him, Dr. Antonio looks like he's in his mid-20s. So those of you on Spotify and Apple Podcast, you would never know. You would never know.
Thanks, Andrew. Checks in the mail. So prior to the year 2000, if you wanted to study sports nutrition at a university, they would laugh at you. They think that's like the stupidest thing. None of that stuff works. It's just, and here's the kicker. They'd always make fun of bodybuilders because typically they're the first ones to embrace supplements. Like, only bodybuilders take that stuff. And besides, they're all on androgens, blah, 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 blah. That's before the year 2000. That's why for my PhD, I didn't study sports nutrition. I actually studied muscle fiber hypertrophy and hyperplasia because no one would want a student who would do their dissertation on sports nutrition. Now, fast forward from 2000 to this year, the ISSN, basically started 2003. Now we're in our 21st year. Now there are many, many students, not just in the United States, but all over the world, that now will study a sports nutrition topic for their dissertation, for their PhD. It literally went from you were the black sheep of the family to like, oh, wow, this is kind of a cool category. I want to study this stuff. Even though they used to make fun of us back in the 90s,
Really?
you were like an infant back in the 90s, they would make fun of us like, that's a stupid. No one cares about that stuff. And when creatine first came out, they're like, that doesn't work either. Protein. Who needs all this protein?
Kidney
So,
damage.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Kidney damage. So, but here's the thing. Okay, I'm going back in history. Even in the 1980s, think about this. In the 1980s, weight training was still not an acceptable form of exercise. If you went to the American College of Sports Medicine conference in the 80s, they made fun of people who lifted weights. In fact, they said the only exercise you need is cardio or aerobic training. That's why the National Strength and Conditioning started, because it was basically a group of guys who lifted. They're like, you know what? We think lifting's good for you. So there. And ACSM people like, no, it's not. Aerobic training is number one. And so fast forward to year 2024, who was right? The NSCA. So we know that resistance training is one of the best forms of exercise. Of course, cardio is an important form of exercise. So in the world of science, you see this sort of weird, and it's almost like politics. People take their stances and
Mhm.
they hold on to them and they will defend them until it's like, okay, holy shit, 15 years later, I guess we were wrong. We better talk nice about sports nutrition because apparently it's legitimate. Same with weight training. So that's sort of my brief history of that. So I know I digress, Brandon, from your original question, but I figured I would just tell you guys some stuff.
No, and
So there, I mean,
it's
there's
like good background. That's good
yeah.
background too for people to know.
Well, there's a couple questions that kind of emerge out of that. Then, if we kind of stay along the lines of the sports nutrition question, like I think a lot of people wonder, and there's a lot of different conflicting sources on this, males versus females. Like if we take, a signed at birth for a second here, don't do it. Don't take it. Don't take that bait. But yeah, if we look at just males and female differences, I mean, are those significant from what you've seen across a wide sweeping range of different supplementation and nutritional recommendations?
The the quick answer to that is no. There's not enough data to differentiate a male versus female response as it relates to sports nutrition. Now, people will mention that, oh, women are better. They seem to be better at oxidizing fat. Men are better at oxidizing carbs. But at the end of the day, you train a man or a woman based on their goals. If they're,
Mhm.
let's say they're in college and they run the 1500, they're a middle distance runner. You still got to train them to run middle distance. You know, there's no secrets about this. And as you know, training is a repetitive, tedious process. You know, some people will argue, well, depending on what part of the cycle a woman is in, you might have to alter the training. There's just not enough data to do that. But then I'm not what you would call a science purist. I'm much more of a pragmatic person.
Mhm.
I would still say it doesn't matter because if you have a track meet or cross country meet, and if someone says, "Well, I'm in the phase where I feel like shit, so could we like reschedule the cross country meet?" It ain't happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
performance
you got to
dictates.
train. Right. You train and
Yep.
you race whenever it's scheduled, regardless of where you are in the cycle. But at this point,
Right.
God, there's really not any evidence to show that, or very weak evidence to show that there are significant differences depending on what part of the cycle you are. Now, when I say this to women, they're like, but wait a minute, I feel like shit during this part of my cycle. I'm like, but guess what? What if you have to race or compete during that part of your cycle? You still
Mhm.
have to train. You're still going to feel like shit. But then I would imagine everyone else feels like shit too. So in a way, it evens out. But again, from a scientific point of view, I don't think the data is there yet to make, any different kinds of recommendations based on where you are in the cycle.
So you're saying that hormones don't have to be balanced, and hormone balance isn't it's a farce? No, I'm kidding.
What? No,
Actually,
actually, I have a
do you have
response to
something?
that. When it
Oh,
comes to competitive athletics, the goal is to win. The goal is to win. It's not that. What if let's say your hormones are not balanced, but you're winning? That coach is happy, you're happy. Okay, you may feel like shit in the off season, but in fact, let me give you a short story. We followed the swim team at Nova Southeastern University over a course of the season. We
hmm,
wanted to see what their stress response was and their body composition changes were over the course of the season. And I forget, it's a
nice.
lot of weeks. And as you
Yeah.
know, swimmers, their volume of training is crazy high. I mean, if anything, collegiate swimmers might actually train more than anybody in terms of hours during the week. Yeah, they're in that pool constantly. So we found, get this, okay, over the course of the season, do you think cortisol would go up or go down?
I would assume. Well,
Yeah,
maybe up initially and then have a blunted effect.
no, it's up. It's, in fact, it's significantly higher at the end of a season. Of course, they're under stress, final exams, all that BS. So it's very stressful. What do you think their body composition does over the course of the season? It
Softens.
probably it improves.
What?
So here's there's an uncoupling of, wait, so cortisol is crazy high because they're under a lot of stress, but body composition either doesn't change or improves because you're freaking exercising all
Yeah.
freaking day. So it's one of those things where we talk about what people talk about. Well, excess cortisol, blah blah blah, over the course of weeks will increase body fat. I'm like, I don't know about that. I think if you train enough, you can,
Can
in
offset.
a weird way, yeah, you can offset it. So yeah, I mean, hormones are important, and obviously, competitive athletics has nothing to do with health, and that's why when you talk about hormone balance, the first question I would ask as a coach is, "But are you faster?"
100%.
If you ain't
100%.
faster, that's like, okay, let's figure out something. But if you're faster, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
good, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and that's definitely one of the reasons why I gravitate inherently towards performance, because it's pretty black and white. There's always the backdrop of better or worse, and it's less arbitrary than when we find regular clients, Gen Pop, that'll come in and say, I want to feel better. And like, it's so obsequious, and you don't really know how to define that in general outside of, I want to tone. Well, I know generally speaking, it's probably a bit of a recomp thing, but how do we determine that? There's no, unless there's a wedding, which case, like, those are probably my favorite clients because they're dialed in. But there's nothing like an athlete. But I feel like if you ever wanted to coach athletes, you're gonna have a second job. That's what a mentor told me, and that was my experience, because either they can't afford you or they don't want to pay for it. And you're like, well, fuck, like, how do we make a living out of this?
yeah. Well, when you work with Gen Pop, what I've tried to, and I rarely work with Gen Pop because of the frustration of dealing with them, is I always say, give me a performance goal, and some of that other stuff will take care of itself. If you say, oh, I want to lose fat, I'm like, okay, but how about you maybe want to run a little faster? You want to do the turkey trot in 25 minutes instead of 28. Hey, let's train for that. And I bet you your body comp will improve.
100%.
Something, yeah. But
It's a byproduct of the adaptation that you have to impose, from the
yeah,
demands. And it's like
exactly.
said, such a great principle that
Exactly.
you'll
So,
never escape. So, oh, okay. Sounds like
popping back there.
my Alexa said, I don't know how to help with that. It's always listening. But you also brought up another question, and to put you in a corner for a second, and you said that you don't have to do cardio, and you can lift weights because lifting weights is superior.
Actually, you know what? This is great. This is great.
This is contemporary research actually came out, and I saw something about, like, hey, you do get some VO2 improvement.
I saw that. Yeah, it's baloney-ish.
A little hokey. Okay.
Okay. Have you noticed there are people who are super high on cardio, but it's really the people who are super high on resistance training is the greatest thing ever invented. I see, and it's never the other way. I see people who engage in resistance training who basically say, this is the one thing you do, you don't have to do anything else. And they will make fun of cardio. In fact, they'll put a picture of a cheetah, which they think it's doing cardio, but they don't realize cheetahs don't do cardio. They sprint. And they're like, cheetahs only live this long, whereas the tortoise lives this long. It's like, what? Okay, so here's the thing.
I've never seen that one.
It's fun.
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
cheetahs don't do cardio, you dumbass.
What a weird anecdote. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see the meme somewhere. In fact, you type in cheetahs doing cardio, you'll find the meme. Okay, resistance training and traditional aerobic training, whether it's high intensity interval training, sprint interval training, or long, slow distance, the adaptations are different. Now, can resistance training produce an increase in max VO2? Yes. Is it comparable to what is produced from what I call the run, bike, swim sports? No. So if the goal is to improve cardiovascular fitness the most, you got to do, I call it the run, bike, swim sports, or the podium sports. If the goal is to increase muscular strength, obviously resistance training. If the goal is general fitness, do both. The funny part is I quit lifting like 15 years ago. Here I'm saying do both.
A paddler though.
Hey, you
Hell
know
of a
what though?
paddler.
Paddling
Yeah.
is kind of a weird resistance exercise. It because water is resistance,
I was gonna say kind of
and
like rowing, right?
yeah, it's kind of like rowing. So there's resistance, and it's sort of resistance and cardio combined. I call it a power endurance sport. Rowing, paddling, all the water sports are power
Yeah.
endurance. Um, but resistance training and aerobic training, I think for general health, it makes sense that you do both. But here's the challenge, and you work with Gen Pop. I can't work with them anymore. Is that the exercise prescription? We as physiologists, we tend to do it based on the adaptive response. But really, shouldn't the exercise prescription be based on, well, what the hell are you willing to do for the next years of your life? If you're not willing to go to a gym and lift, well, what can we do at home? Okay, you don't want to do anything at home. Okay, can you walk? How about that? Can you walk? Can you carry your fat dog around the block? Something. So you got to figure out the prescription should be based first on adherence. Will you adhere to it? And then secondly, the adaptive response, if your client even gives a shit about the adaptive response. Because let's face it, most people who want to train with a trainer, I think they want to feel better.
Oh,
And maybe
100%.
yeah, feel better, look better. So do they need to lift weights? No. Would it help? Yes. So, but if they don't want to lift weights, don't freaking force them to lift weights. If they don't want to run on a treadmill, don't make them run on a treadmill. Find something they like.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's whatever's going to be the sustainable behavior change that they're willing to adopt. It seems like adoption is always the biggest curve for athletes and Gen Pop. Is like, usually, you got to go to bed earlier. They're like, no, fuck that. And you're like, you want to perform like shit? Like, okay, cool. Like, it seems like sleep is the primary litmus for recovery as a general metric. You don't sleep. Like, why are you doing hormone testing? Or, it doesn't make sense. People are
Yeah, but
stepping over
all the
charge.
fun things happen at midnight, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. I remember being a D2 strength coach and the girls would come in after having partied on Thursday night. It's Friday morning. And I'd be like, we'd always ask 1 to 3, how ready do you feel to train today? And they'd be like 0.7. We never had no contact ACL injuries that season, but they performed like shit. Cause I'd be like, all right, go take a nap. Like this is not even productive. Or they would come in right after training and like go, from their sports stuff and straight into the weight room. Like, why? Your post-activation potentiation is fucking shot. Like you're not gonna produce any force. What's the point right now? So, it's such a catch-22, and I think every population has such a different set of obstacles. And so, with your background in sports, nutrition and coaching and like research, what are some of the biggest, most prominent obstacles you find as like a set that are typically associated with athletes?
Well, I think you touched on the big one is sleep or just lack of sleep or their sleep hygiene sucks. And I think part of it is they figure they'll eventually just catch up on sleep, even though they've stayed up late past midnight for the last, on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they come back Monday and it's like, you haven't even recovered and it's Monday and you got to get back in the weight room. You got to get back on the field. So I think sleep is a big one. The other one is, and I've noticed this about a lot of college athletes is, God, they eat like shit, number one. Or I'm surprised how little, especially we have a lot of female athletes in my class, that they don't eat. Like, so what'd you eat today?
It's crazy.
And I can't believe this. I get this answer commonly. Well, I haven't eaten all day. I'm like, it's like 4:00. What do you mean you haven't eaten all day? How do you not eat? I mean, I wake up, I think about food. And they're like, well, I'm not really hungry. I'm like, you're not hungry. You trained at 5 a.m. I guess you had coffee, but they didn't have a meal. And they're like, I'm so busy, I forgot to eat. Now, I don't know about you. I've never forgotten to eat. How's that possible? How do you?
Oh, I do it all the time. It seems it's an encumbrance. You got to sit there. You got to stop what you're doing when you're on a roll. You got to go prepare some shit. Like, just give me the pill. Make food a pill.
Order KFC and have it delivered.
Like, I'd be back in college again. That's probably what they do. In-N-Out Burger was a big thing in grad school. They love that. And actually, it was pretty good.
It is good. It is good.
In-N-Out Burger.
It's all right. It's okay. It's good. It's good.
Okay. All right, connoisseur, calm down.
Whatever. I had a lot of it in high school.
Yeah. I mean,
so I definitely think the sleep part, the poor eating habits part. I mean, those are two gigantic issues that if you tried to fix, well, it's hard to fix the sleep part because you're not with them, but the eating part. So I've had this conversation. This is going back 10, 12 years with the strength coach at the university. And I said, you know what? Well, he says the same thing. Oh my God, they don't eat or they eat like shit. I'm like, how about do something really simple that you know they'll adhere to? And I always give people are always shocked how simple my advice is, and after a while they'll realize that's because no one ever follows it anyways.
That makes it so simple. Ah, fuck off.
Like, can you write me up a diet? No. Can you give me like a meal plan? No. How about this? Can you consume a protein shake after you work out? They're like, well, yeah, that's easy. I'm like, if it
Do
was
it.
easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah, do it.
And so I told the strength coach, just do that. When they're done lifting, give them a shake because you
Yep.
know they're going to go home. They might eat, they might not eat for 3 or 4 hours. So my advice has always been if you can't excel at the simple stuff, you're going to suck at the complicated stuff. So be great at the simple stuff.
Yeah. I think that it makes so much sense when you talk about stacking things. It's like you can't do the foundational piece. How are you supposed to layer on other levels of complexity without the simplicity of each individual? And it's like it's just
Yeah.
it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
A banana goes so far, and bananas are cheap as shit. They're convenient. You got to eat them, otherwise go bad. So they can't. You don't leave them in your pantry like I would.
And so they ask stupid shit like, well, what if I sit in a cold tub for 10 minutes? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, how about this? While you're sitting in that tub, have a protein shake and eat a banana.
No, that's absurd. That's absurd. Well, it's funny when I think about like Fairlife, because I used to, after the girls would get done, I would feed them a Fairlife, like just chocolate milk thing. And they've recently come under fire. I guess it's really a pervasive thing that's nutrition wide, but this microplastics pandemic, that seems like it's going around. I mean, do you have an opinion on that? It seems like they can't even find a control, apparently. I don't know if there's any.
I only know about it just from reading, news reports, but
yeah,
I'm not aware of any data per se on people who consume, things that are in plastic versus glass. Because when I was a kid, like for instance, soft drinks were in a glass bottle, but then they realized it's costly to ship glass. It weighs a lot. Let's put it in plastic. So literally your entire life, you've been consuming stuff out of a plastic container. I mean, I don't know how you would measure that. Because I heard there's I saw a story about these microplastics in the testicles of males. I'm like,
yeah, that's one that made me panic. I was like, what? I guess we got to collect a lot of sperm samples and then just like, hey, someone's got to look through that in the microscope. I'm not doing that one.
They're cutting it up and taking a biopsy. Oh, Andrew, this won't hurt. Just a little bit.
Hell no. Yeah. We got this big ass needle. We're going to punch in you like a fucking tendon biopsy. Like, you fuck off. I'm not doing that, buddy. No, sir.
But they'll give you $100 for volunteering up in the study.
Yeah, it's a $5 Amazon gift card these days. Budgets are strained. Yeah. No, I saw a guy get a patellar tendon biopsy or, tendinopathy. Oh, yeah. Nah, dude. That's fucking crazy. That shit don't grow back, buddy. But
he did get a Starbucks gift card.
They didn't pay him. His dumbass volunteered in class. I was like, dude,
biopsy.
Yeah, man. No thanks. That was the craziest shit I'd ever seen. And I was like, can we see a cadaver now? They're like, no, we don't have the budget for that. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. You couldn't pay him for his fucking knee tissue.
Oh my God, that is insane.
Shit.
That is insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's funny because like there's these things that get sensationalized, and I think that given the contemporary environment of how much access we have to information these days, it's really kind of terrifying to think that we're so prone to misinformation or like maybe lacking the nuance unless you have a foundational understanding of physiology. You've gone through an academic program, like you've taken the time to understand how the body should work before you start looking at how it's broken. So I guess like kind of switching gears here for a second, how can people that are coaching professionals in the age of too much or information saturation potentially stay on top of or know what to pay attention to from an information perspective or a research perspective?
You mean coaching professional athletes, or
people that influence health behaviors of others, like whether it's athletes, whether it's Gen Pop, because I'm sure that there's some overlap in that.
Yeah. How do you avoid the information overload? That's a damn good question. And what's funny is I'm aware of a lot of these technologies, and I'll play around with them. And you know what I always revert back to? At least this is with cardio. I almost always revert back to rating of perceived exertion. I'm like, was that hard? Yeah. Was that easy? Yes. I'm like, Okay, I don't give a shit about your heart rate right now, to be honest.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like personal trainers. Go until you're tired. I haven't been counting, and then do 2 more.
yes. I mean, in a way, I'm being flippant about it, but oftentimes sort of the simplest ways of assessing things might be the best, and because you only have so much time in the day. I mean, limited time, limited resources. How much of this stuff do you want to pay attention to? Heart rate variability. You could wear a GPS tracker. Okay, maybe you're moving too much during the day. You need to lay down and rest. I mean, there's a point where it's information overload, where you don't even know what to do with all this data. And clearly, if you look, at least we're talking about competitive athletes. If you look at how coaches and competitive athletes, how they engage, the athlete buys into the coach's program. I mean, you have to have that buy-in. But then, of course, the coach has to be good enough that you could get athletes to buy into it. So a lot of times it's not really what you know, it's how you relate to that athlete or that person. And that's sort of the part of this where I guess it's more psychology than anything else. Some people might like say, you know what, I just like Andrew. That's why I want to train with him. I don't like Brandon because I don't like his hair. It could be as simple. It's, he does have, I
I
won't
got a
have homes.
haircut yesterday.
So it could just be as simple as that, because training at its core is something that is highly repetitive. It's highly repetitive. Eating well is highly repetitive. And so people are like, well, there's got to be something else you can do. And I'm like, actually, no, just keep repeating,
Yeah.
repeating, repeating. And it, in a way, it gets kind of boring. But the analogy I would use is, okay, let's say you go to school, you want to get a 4-year degree. Guess what? You're just repeating, repeating. You're showing up. You're showing up. You pass classes. You repeat it again. And then in 4 years, well, no, it's 5 years for some people.
Yeah.
5 years.
Or
Yeah.
7. Or 7.
Some people take like a decade, and then you graduate. You're just repeating a behavior. So things that are difficult to achieve basically just require repetitive behavior. It's no different than, people, they've asked me, what can I do to achieve a goal, whether it's athletic or academic? And I'm like, hey, it's like shooting free throws. You want to be good at free throws? Hey, do 100 every day for a month, then do 150 every day for the next month, and just keep repeating your behavior. I don't know if you play chess, Andrew, but chess is one of those games where you just got to repeat it. You get your ass kicked by like some little 5-year-old grandmaster, but you keep playing it.
Fuck those kids.
Right, exactly. Before you know what pawn to king 4 means. It's like, oh, so the knight can jump over, the bishop is diagonal, the rook goes straight, and the queen can kick ass all over the place. So repeat the behavior.
Yeah. Well, I think it makes so much sense when you think about the nature of, people want instant rice that's supposed to take 60 seconds. They want it in 55 seconds or 50 seconds. And there's this element of learned patience.
Hey, can I tell you a story?
You ate raw rice. You did not.
Yeah. No, the instant Uncle Ben's bullshit rice.
Listen, first of all, let's talk about Uncle Ben for a second, because that feels wildly inappropriate in general, whoever branded that, but we'll move on from that.
No, this is hilarious.
Like,
I when I went to my wife, well, she was my girlfriend at the time, went and visited her parents in Iowa, and looking through the pantry, and I pull out the Uncle Ben's. I'm like, this is not rice. And my wife's like, it says rice. I'm like, that is not rice. This is fake rice. This is fake white people rice. It's not rice.
Say,
okay. That's enough of my story.
She's not Asian?
No. No. Yeah. My kids are mix.
There you go. The gene pool got to expand the probabilities there.
Oh, you should see my kids' ancestry DNA. It's like all over the world.
Oh shit. Now that's a different conversation I don't want to jump into, because we could be like, hey, do you think people are farming insurance information from the DNA testing, and that BlackRock, or Blackstone just it doesn't. we need a different episode for that shit.
Yeah, that's another beer conversation.
Oh my god, 100%. I mean, the world's just, it's wild. But I guess, again, just like the learned patience, I think in 2024, when everyone wants information immediately, like you can't wait for a text. I have people that send me an email. They're like, hey, did you get my email? And they sent it like 5 minutes ago. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, calm down, bro. And I think that there's just certain skill sets and I love the fact that you said it's about the relationship and building that trust and that buy-in. And, with everything that I've learned so far and even like my current research, I truly wish I had built all of my scientific competencies on top of people skills. I felt like I would have had a lot less frustration. I would have spent a fuck ton less money on what I needed to go, like certification was like, oh, I need another credential to make sure that people believe that I'm credible. Like, no, if they like you, they'll probably just listen to you, which is why we're in the predicament with the social media influencers because they're so likable and they
Well,
bypass a lot of the
they're
competencies.
likable on a screen. Oftentimes, people on the screen are not the same people you meet in person. That's happened to me where there's very smart people that I see on X, on Instagram, and then when I meet them in person, I'm like, wow, they're kind of meek. What is going on here? And so they have a online personality, and then they have a real personality. So it's kind of crazy.
Different selves. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole digital age is again, that's another beer or an episode for that. But kind of just transitioning from the learned patience and like the obstacles that people usually come into and stumble across as coaches in different populations. Um, I guess kind of wrapping up here as we're brushing up against the hour, I would be very curious to know when we talk about information, and obviously you have a dearth of history and exposure and just accumulated knowledge from all the research and the people that you've gotten to interact with across a long career. As far as leveraging research to improve coaching practices or to improve like health consumer practices, do you have any suggestions for people that may be lay or maybe with a basic education on how they can potentially maybe sift through some of that stuff or not have to read 50 articles to gather some actually reliable information that they can then turn around and implement?
That's a damn good question. And it's not really one I'm not sure there's an easy answer to it because, like, for instance, I'm good friends with a track and cross country coach. And she'll text or email me on occasion saying, hey, I heard about this and this. Can it make my athletes run faster? Now, that's one way for her to get information because she knows I'll just text back like, no, that's bullshit. Or, yeah, actually, if you try it, it might help some of your runners. Um, the other thing is she regularly attends fitness conferences and sort of not really science conferences, but fitness conferences. So that's where she gets her information. The problem is, how does anyone sift through that? How does anybody? I mean, because I get this question all the time from students like, well, how do I know what I'm reading is true? And my answer is, you don't freaking know. That's what sucks. They're like, well, what website do I go to? Well, I would say go to a science website, but oftentimes nobody has the time to read. And let's face it, science writing
Huh.
is boring as hell. No one wants to read these papers. It's like you got 100 scientists in the world who read sports nutrition papers, like on maybe 200. And then we're hoping that there's 300 million people in the United States that might read this stuff. Of course they won't. They're going to call you, Andrew, and say, hey, Andrew, what the hell's going on with this creatine stuff?
Uh,
This Antonio guy says I could eat 2 grams per pound. I think he's full of it. Do you think he's full of it?
oh my
And so Andrew's like, no, he's definitely
god.
full of it. He knows what he's talking about. So,
Grams per pound. Holy shit.
hey, that was our first study, 2 grams per pound. Yeah. Yes.
Are you
I shit
fucking kidding me?
4.4 grams per
Holy
kilo.
shit.
Yes. Yeah. We had a lot of dropouts.
That's like
crazy.
that's a whole bag or a whole container for this.
Yeah.
Like, for, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on the size.
How
That's
long
it. How
was
much
that?
do you weigh, Andrew? How much you weigh, Andrew?
I'm like 175 right now.
So it would be well
Good
over
God.
300 grams for you every day
Yeah.
for 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
8 weeks? Dude,
Yes.
that IRB had to be nuts. They were like, yeah, we don't know if we can subject these kids to the dude. IRBs are getting pretty lax these days.
They're
They're letting some shit through.
Yeah. Well, the funny part about that one is someone had commented on the IRB that you better put that protein is harmful to your kidneys. Yes, in the IRB. And I said, and I fought it. I'm like, that is not true. It went back, it came back to me. You need to put this in. I'm like, no, I'm not putting it in. It went back. And then eventually, get this is funny as hell. The head honcho of the IRB, he's a lawyer. He's like, he calls him up. He's like, just put it in. I know it's not true, but just put it in and it'll get approved. I'm like, but it's bullshit. They're like, yeah, we know it's bullshit. So I put it in. It got approved.
Ugh, isn't that
Yeah,
annoying?
yeah, very annoying, very annoying. So I think there's a universal issue with you don't know what good information is from bad information. It's just impossible. There's no way. And I know we have access to this stuff all day. It, like if I look up information in a field I'm not familiar with, let's say it's cardiac surgery, how am I going to fucking know what's right and wrong? I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I know the heart has 4 chambers. Once you get past that, I'm like, okay. What else?
They pump blood, right?
It pumps
They
blood.
pump blood.
Yeah, there's the Purkinje cells. Let's see. What else do I know?
Got an
Okay, I don't
SA
know.
node. Yep.
Right.
Like that's about it, right?
That's
I think
it.
shorts out on you, they'll burn it. Dude. Like
So,
that's crazy.
yeah. You don't ever want your heart to stop.
Yep.
So all of us are sort of in that position where we don't know. There's so much information in all these subspecialties that there's no way we're going to know. So in essence, people have to trust you, Andrew, when they come to you for training advice that you know what you're talking about. Now, here's the kicker. They may just like you because they like your personality, and that's it. And you may be a dumbass and they wouldn't know it. Or you could be a Mensa member, but they're like, yeah, but no personality.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
People want to be entertained.
Yes.
People want to be fucking entertained. Like TikTok is the worst thing in the world. Great for building business, but
is it really?
I mean, if you're on certain corners of TikTok, like you actually get some good information. You know, Menlo has a pretty decent little research review that he pops up good info. I'm like, all right, cool. That's how it gets my digest.
Here's my confession. I have like a 10-second attention span. But if I'm on TikTok, those are perfect. It's like, wow, 5 seconds. Okay, next. 5 seconds. Oh, I'm semi-entertained.
The same boat. I'm in the same.
5 seconds? Fuck, man. So my minute videos are too long.
Way too long.
Listen, my average view time's 12 seconds. Fuck, man. I always wondered, like, it's probably too long.
5 seconds works for me.
5 seconds. 5 seconds. You want Vine-style videos back when those were a thing.
The ones I'll listen to longer, comedians, I'm like, well, this is kind of funny. Oh, okay.
You got to build the joke up. You got to build.
Yeah. That might last 60 seconds. So,
okay. So here's what we're gonna do then. We're gonna make a science literacy channel that is done with comedic timing and jokes, and it's gonna be sci fucks. Nope, that's not sci folks. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I mean, yeah, it's like, how do you stay relevant? I think that's. You're right. We have to do a better job in making. But the question is, like, how do we vet people that might be, you know, dumbasses?
That's a good question. You know what? If you go on Instagram, there are people with over 1 million followers that are total dumbasses, like total dumbasses.
Like
they just make shit up. They make shit up.
People that walk around grocery stores with their shirts off and demonize individual ingredients and may have ties to the carnivore diet. No, we're not going to drive any traffic towards them.
No, I like the ones who say, if you can't pronounce the ingredients, you shouldn't eat it.
You should probably just get literate.
That's true. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, people conflate followers with knowledge. So I mean, what can you do about that? Well, you could tell people that there's other people maybe you should listen to. It's kind of a tough thing. I mean, people, put it this way. Do you remember Jim Jones' Kool-Aid party?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait.
Yeah. I grew up. I grew up near that. I grew up near the house.
You guys weren't alive, but he had a Kool-Aid party, which goes to show you people will follow someone charismatic and do whatever they tell them to do. So it's not just Jim Jones's Kool-Aid party, but it's people on Instagram who give you advice about, don't eat this, make sure you eat that. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Carbs are bad, fat is good. And all these there's so many annoying arguments online about seed oil is bad, seed oil is good. What about LDL? Does that predict cardiovascular disease? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, God, people argue about this stuff. It's insane. I don't know. Like, when you were working with your prior job, did you get these kinds of questions a lot?
Oh, dude, all the time.
LDL?
All the time. People wanted to know PCOS all the time. You would think that people were like some kind of endocrinology people. They'd be like, oh, this person has PCOS. How do I deal with their... I'm like, calm down. Are they sleeping? Are they drinking water? Like that's, but again, like the simplistic things that you can do consistently in execution. Like,
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, the best athletes are the dumbest ones. And the best coaches are the people that can titrate all the information into a simplistic recommendation. Like, you should have a big house of knowledge, but if you throw it all out there, you're going to fuck up the performance because they're going to be thinking about too many things. Hicks law, too many potential outputs slows down the response time. And,
Yep.
I think it does come back to people. And so with that, it sounds like you recommend finding trusted sources of information. Do you have like a list of individuals right off the top of your head that you would suggest to the listeners that these are trusted sources, in the sports nutrition world, in the supplement world, in the physiology world, that you'd like to share very briefly?
Well, yeah, I would highly recommend, in terms of sports nutrition and supplements, the International Society of Sports Nutrition. As a disclosure, I'm the CEO and co-founder, and we have our national meeting is every June. It's always in Florida because Florida rocks, the best state in the whole damn union. Andrew knows it. Brandon knows.
Always a great time.
Yeah,
I fit. I actually still have
Always a great time.
a shaker bottle from a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
Oh,
Nice.
I have my hoodie still.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that is where, if you want to stay up to date in sports nutrition and supplements, it's that. If you don't like going to conferences, we have a journal. If you go to the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition, the website is jissn.net, and it goes straight to that. That's one way to keep up. And here's the thing: people say, I don't want to read all that science stuff, it's boring. I'm like, no, you're right, it's boring. So here's what you do: read the abstract. If you believe it or not, if you just read the abstract, you're a step ahead of so many people who read nothing. Read the abstract. At least you'll have some, at least a general idea of what's coming down the pike in sports nutrition. To me, that's what I would recommend. ISSN.net is the website for the International Society of Sports Nutrition. Yes.
They have a couple books that they also recommend if you want to pursue their certification tracks. And again, like I've went through that 3 or 4 years ago now, and it was definitely the most comprehensive nutrition, scientifically rigorous credential that I think I've ever gathered. It's definitely a lot more rigorous than the CrossFit strongman stuff where you had a guy named Rob Orlando come in there and show you how to fucking lift a 500-pound tire. And I think someone like snapped their leg in the event. So, not very, it was rigorous in a different way, but yeah, so I think that the organizations definitely make a lot of sense. Do you have a particular fitness organization that you really like to, or that you somewhat lean on, or that maybe you just don't hate, that can help you, kind of similar to the ISSN for our listeners?
No, I don't.
Not the NSCA anymore?
Oh, I don't consider them a fitness organization.
Oh, okay. That's not NASM, ISSA. Like, I'm not a huge proponent of either, but
in terms of learning about exercise training, particularly as it applies to athletes, but also Gen Pop, the National Strength and Conditioning Association, or NSCA, is probably the best place to go to. Now, I will say this, that almost everyone at ISSN is also NSCA certified. So they also know the strength and conditioning stuff. That the NSCA, you won't find the same thing there, that if you're NSCA certified, it doesn't necessarily mean, sports nutrition. So, but yeah, the NSCA has definitely been in the forefront of exercise training, going back to the 1980s. So, and of course, I mean, where I find a lot of good information is if I'm on X, and I tend to follow people who actually post about science, or people who are coaches in whether it's powerlifting or running. I actually read a lot of times what coaches say, because here's the thing about coaching versus science. If you suck at coaching and your athletes lose, you're not a coach anymore. So you're looking for things that work. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, that's kind of an interesting thing. Okay, well, I think that's one way to do it. It reminds me, did you watch the Olympics, the 1,500 meter final? Ingebrigtsen was the Norwegian guy. He was favored, but the American Cole Hawker won. Now, what's funny about that is Ingebrigtsen, he's probably still the best 1,500 meter runner in the world. People talked about how he had the Norwegian method of training. And I'm thinking, if you see what he does, it's not Norwegian. Everyone does this stuff. You could put a stupid name to it. I'm gonna come up with a Floridian method just because I like Florida, and maybe people are like
Gator Gate. The Gator Gate method. Like, what the fuck? You gotta
yeah. Yeah. And then people are like, hey, do you do the Floridian method? And Andrew, talk to Andrew Garrettson. He loves the Floridian method.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. Fort Myers this year is where that Florida method got taught. Next year's where?
Delray Beach,
Delray.
Florida.
Delray Beach,
Delray
Florida.
Yeah, beautiful beach. Yeah,
amazing.
So go there.
So
yeah,
so we have some good mid. You said what date is it?
It's mid-June, June 20 to 23.
There we go. So a lot of great research, a lot of great presenters, great vendors, great people, and really a great time, especially with the poster presentations. Those are my favorite.
Great. When are you going to present a poster?
Whenever I get someone that'll do my IRB, except I need to find a dissertation chair, honestly, which is really weird because it's like psychoneuroimmunology and no one wants to fucking talk about it.
Who does that?
Dude, there's one department in Ohio and it's a dental person runs it. And I'm like, I don't even fucking know this. Interdisciplinary research is a pain in the ass for anyone. Can I give you advice?
Can I give you advice?
Please. Yep.
Find a dissertation that's doable, not something you necessarily like.
I'm trying to cure cancer, so it's a long process that I'm apparently going to be doing forever. So
yeah. Was it psychoimmunology? Is that what you said?
Psychoneuroimmunology. So just looking at the intersection. It's basically stress, right? As a physiological and a psychological construct, and the intersection between the two. It's like, which is it? And it's
how about this? Just look at the effects of different supplements on the stress response.
Yeah, big pharma wants to pay for that one.
Well, it wouldn't be pharmacologic; it'd be supplemental. So it wouldn't be a pharm study; it'd be a supplement study. You could get product easily, blah, blah, blah. What school are you doing it through?
University of Arizona.
Okay, so everything's online except your dissertation. Obviously, you have to collect data.
Correct, yeah. So, yeah. Well, I don't know. I might be just using an NHANES thing and see if I can scrounge something up. I'm not really trying to solve cancer right now. I just oscillate between too many interests. So.
All right. Yeah, solving cancer is not good for...
No, that's not good for business. I mean, what? No, I'm kidding. Everyone tongue in cheek. It's a joke. It's a joke. If you haven't gotten that and you're this far in the episode, calm down. But yeah, we just. But yeah, no. So like we are.
If you're unalived, I'll know it. Something happened.
Big Pharma came after me for sure. They're like, "Hey, shut the fuck up!" In your corner with your 55 subscribers. Hey, listen, 55 in 6 weeks, pretty good. Shout out to Brandon for putting all the production together. So,
thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
But yeah, any closing remarks, Brandon, Dr. Antonio, that you guys want to share to our listeners as we wrap up?
I just want to thank you guys for inviting me. This is a fun. I know we sort of have a fun time, sort of jibber jabbering about bullshit. But there's some good nuggets in there that I think people could take with them. I want to let the audience know that we're working on, me and a bunch of colleagues are working on another paper. We have 3 papers. The series is called Common Questions and Misconceptions About. We did one on protein. We did one on caffeine. We did one on creatine. We just submitted one for creatine part 2 because there's a bunch of other questions. Currently working on a Common Questions and Misconceptions paper on energy drinks because there's a lot of information on energy drinks that people are, always willing to ask. And we put it in a format that's digestible. It's a question and answer. So we're hoping the non-science audience will, take a liking to it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where can they find that?
It'll be published at jissn.net.
Okay.
Yeah, jissn.net.
I love that. And then you also have a podcast, right?
The Sports Science Dudes, man.
There we go.
The thing is, it's just a bunch of nerds talking, and we talk to the other 50 nerds in the world.
The 200 people that actually read the research articles kind of congregate, and occasionally they let a Yahoo in like me, and I'm like, oh, let's talk about some weird shit, and we never know which direction it's gonna go. So
exactly.
But yeah, you guys got a lot of stuff going on. So thank you again so much for spending time with us. And obviously, we definitely exceeded our time allotment. So I appreciate that. You're so generous with your time. And guys, if you ever have any questions or really just look at, any kind of misconceptions and, Dr. Antonio is such a great resource, and the ISSN, their position stands are phenomenal. If you're trying to learn a lot about a particular thing, Dr. Stacy Sims recently released something about women and the position stand around training and nutrition. So Definitely a great one to check out. But all that to say, again, thank you so much for being so generous with your time today. Our audience is
Hey,
so lucky to have you. And if you need anything
you're
else,
welcome.
yeah,